Revelation 6 continues with the opening of the second seal. In the book of Revelation, chapter 6 in particular, we see John the Revelator being called up by another one of the living creatures. When he is called up, he sees the Lamb Jesus opening the second of the seven seals. Now, when this happens, John sees a figurative red horse. Now, it is important to note the four horses of the apocalypse, the four horses of Revelation 6, are figurative horses. The symbol of a horse is used in this instance to show vigilance, to show authority, to show power, and the ability to run through and fro rampant throughout the earth. Now, this particular horse was red, and the Bible specifically goes on to tell us that the rider was able to take peace from the earth and to incite people to murder. Now, this will have to do with all of the killings and the murders and violence and war after the rapture during the time of the tribulation. You see, the Holy Spirit will be taken from the earth during that time, and people will be left to their own devices with the Antichrist. Now, you may say humankind is morally good at its core. That is what people say. That is what philosophy and different sciences, life sciences, will teach us. But we know that according to the Bible, that is not true. The intentions of our heart are never good, and without Jesus, we are all vile. Now, during the time just following the rapture into the tribulation, you have to think of it this way. People will be scared, not only because people have disappeared, which is enough to be scared, but think of it this way. There will be Christians who may have been cooking a meal. That pot will remain on the stove. The house will probably burn down. That will probably happen mass all over the world. There will be Christians who will be flying planes. There are Christian pilots. I have a friend who is one. You will see that plane will probably crash. There will be people who are Christians driving. What's going to happen then? There is going to be mass destruction and mass hysteria after the rapture. People will become scared and they will turn on each other. It's not only the nation rising against nation and rumors of wars and actual wars. Yes, it's that, but it's not only that. Let's think of it this way. A couple of years ago, there was Hurricane Ida here in Louisiana. For a few days after, there was no power. You had to have like a generator to be able to have power. But even with that, you would run out of food at some point in time. You would have to go to the store. A lot of the groceries, a lot of the businesses, the few restaurants that were open, many businesses were only operating on a cash basis simply because they did not have the power to facilitate card transactions. People were anxious. People needed stuff. Not everybody had cash available on hand. You think of it this way. A father with a screaming child going to the store. He has his card. He needs to get milk for that baby. When he gets there, he doesn't have the cash. People are screaming. People are carrying on. The baby is carrying on. And the baby is about to get sick because it's so hungry. More than likely, being in the flesh and being scared, that man could trip off and do something very crazy. You might think that's impossible, but I have lived through hurricanes and I've seen what it's like. I've lived through COVID-19 like everybody in the human race still alive today. You see what can happen when people are scared. I know personally of situations in other countries where people were reporting their neighbors for having people over during the time of sequestering, during the time when you couldn't have anybody over, and people were turning in their neighbors because they were scared. When a person is scared, there's no telling what they can do. After the rapture, in the mass hysteria of the tribulation, people will be scared, and I am telling you, with that large sword, the rider on the red horse will be ready to strike. There's going to be murder all over the place. Accept Jesus today and be counted worthy to escape the wrath to come. Now, I have heard various people say this is the enemy that will be operating during that time and God's allowing it. No, that's not true. This is God doing all of this. This is his wrath. This is his judgment falling on the earth and the inhabitants thereof for the rejection of his son. You see, the only thing that rivals the love of God is the wrath of God. And because of his great love, there is great wrath. Now, I've heard people say he's a loving God and he would never do this and he would never do that. You think of it this way. We have the ability to love because of him, because he is love, right? You have a child. Somebody hurts your child. Somebody kills your child. Somebody abuses your child. Because of your great love for that child, would you have not great wrath? Well, that is exactly what the tribulation is about. So accept Jesus today and be counted worthy to escape.